Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dazza, and today I'd like to take you through my review scale and essentially give you reasons as to why I've gone about things this way, and then we're going to review a few games that I've played recently, just nice and quickly to give you an idea of how it will look. Let's take it away. Okay, so one of the issues that I have with modern game reviews, and I'm going to use IGN as an example just due to the fact that they are the biggest gaming publication on the internet, is they use a whole number system, all the way from 1 to 10, but realistically, even before a game is reviewed, you kind of know what it's going to get. Just due to the fact of 7 is seen as good, 8 is great, 9's amazing, 10's a masterpiece, and it doesn't really provide a lot of wiggle room. So what I've decided to do is, even though it doesn't equal, I'll admit that this is a bit weird, I've decided, and we're going to start here at 3.5 stars, and I acknowledge, yes, that's a 7 out of 10, but I've decided to award 3.5 stars as a great game. And the reason that I've done this is that I want to explore that sort of upper regions of that sort of classic IGN 8 to 10 range, because at the end of the day, I want to play games that are good. I'm not going to just review them for the hell of it. And so I want to be able to explore that range. So I view my 3.5 stars as your classic IGN 8 out of 10. As a result, good gets 3 stars. And that is, even though, yes, that's a 6 out of 10, that would be the equivalent of your 7 out of 10 IGN good score. I've decided to award 2.5 stars as acceptable. This is a game that does what it needs to do, really doesn't stand out in any way. It's hard to recommend unless it's a game that you really are drawn to. And so that's something that I've played, and then it's sort of like, look, it's fine, but it's up to you. Again, that's sort of that 6 range on an IGN scale. And then from there, this is realistically, I hope that I do not have to review games that are this bad, but I'm sure they will come up every now and then. 2 stars I've decided to award as save your cash. Parting with your hard-earned dollars is the most important thing, and there are games that I'll play and just go, look, it's simply not worth it. A game that I would actually have reviewed 2 stars last year was Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. I just really found the fact, as somebody who never played the original, this game did not stand the test of time, in the sense that they really just put a new lick of paint on the game for the most part, it seemed, at least to me, and the gameplay really was just not acceptable in this day and age. So that would be more of a 5 out of 10 slash games that I really just recommend that you don't buy. Below 2 stars is realistically never going to happen unless I start getting game review codes and genuinely I'm getting just poor quality games, because at the end of the day, time is limited. I don't want to play games that are terrible. No, none of us do. But for sake of argument, 1.5 stars is poor. 1 star is blatantly unacceptable. Half a star is downright pathetic, and 0 stars is run for your life. Realistically, those 4 ranges, we're not going to get a lot of games that I review in that range, but ultimately I'm wanting to explore things in the upper echelon, because ideally I want to play good games and I want to tell you all about them. And so this is sort of where it's going to sort of separate things. Even though I acknowledge that the numbers don't exactly add up, it's just about spreading out that 8 to 10 range, because a lot of games these days review 8, 9, and what's the in between? So, as stated previously, great is 3.5 stars, your classic IGN 8. We'll link them back to IGN just so you understand. 4 stars is wonderful. I always hear Professor Oak from the original Pokemon Snap. You're wonderful. I sort of view this as your 8.5 to 9 range, where you're not willing to call it a 9 yet, but it's definitely better than that 8. 4.5 stars is magnificent. This is your 9 to 9.5. Not at the point where you'd call it a 10, but definitely a game that you would recommend to everybody. And 5 stars is an instant classic. This is your sort of 9.5 to 10. This just ticks all the boxes, and one that you absolutely think is going to be talked about in the years to come. So that's basically my range that I've decided to go with. Let me know what you think about that. I acknowledge that it's a bit different, but with so many games now coming out, and you look at something like an Open Critic or a Metacritic, the range between 80 to 90 means a hell of a lot to a lot of people. And 80 might mean to somebody, I'm going to absolutely just avoid this game. A 90 is Game of the Year territory. But a lot of the bigger review publications, websites, don't have anything in between that. So I'm hoping that this scale can do something for that. I'm going to now just quickly review 3 games for you that I've played over the last couple of months and score them for you. And yeah, let me know what you think. Okay, the first game I'd like to review is Kenna Bridge of Spirits, which I rolled credits on actually just yesterday. Took me roughly 13 hours. A game that I would say is up there with being the absolute, from an art direction perspective, the best looking game on Switch 2 so far. I absolutely enjoyed it. It runs at 30 frames a second. I know it runs at 60 on PlayStation 5, but I never played the PlayStation 5 version personally, so if this is an issue for somebody that had played it over there, I can understand that, but it's something that you just get used to very quickly on this version. I found the story to be largely forgettable. A lot of the characters were very cute, the animation's great, gameplay was pretty fun, I will say, and sort of searching the area for collectibles, I think, is the game's highlight, along with the just beautiful visuals. Absolutely. The issues that I had with the game was I found that the difficulty spikes in certain places, especially boss battles. It became really frustrating. I don't think this was a game that I wanted to come into finding a huge challenge, and then you're finding a lot of characters very easy to beat, then all of a sudden the bosses come through and you're just dying repeatedly, and I just really struggled to find the right difficulty level for the game. I found a few late game platforming sections very, very frustrating as well, and so I just think that this game is going to learn a lot. Ember Lab will learn a lot from this game when it comes to the sequel, which is coming out later this year. Hopefully will come to Switch 2 this year, though I expect it's probably on a timed exclusive, so potentially 2027, maybe 2028, we'll see. But I had fun playing it. I've been wanting to play it for years, and just it's come to Switch 2, finally pulled the trigger on it. Ultimately, I'm going to say that this game is great, and I do recommend it, but I am going to award it 3.5 stars. I think there's just certain things in this game where the balance just doesn't work as well, and I think it has missed out on probably another half a star because of it, and I hope that they learn that going into the next game. So it is one that I would still recommend. The next game that I'd like to look at is The Exit 8, which I just played for the first time last week. It has got a Switch 2 version. It came out on Switch 1 and actually did quite well. It follows a very simple premise. You walk into sort of a subway station in Japan, and you're basically told this is the stock standard subway station with some posters on the walls, some doors, some lights, and go through. If you see anything that doesn't look to like it should belong or is slightly different, turn around. And basically there's 8 levels. So if you see no anomalies. They call them anomalies in this game. Walk ahead and you'll go up, and if you guess wrong, you have to start all over again, and the aim is to get through to exit 8. I rolled credits in about 5 minutes. I have no idea if there are other people that, like, if that is the intended purpose. Probably my second or third try, I just got it right. And then basically after doing that, the game basically just told me, hey, there are 31 anomalies that you haven't seen yet. And so over the next half hour, I got that number down to about 10 to 12 from memory. Ultimately, I was more than happy to put it down after that. And the game is okay. But I sort of go down to this spot of like, yes, it cost me, I think I bought it on sale at $6 Australian, which it really wasn't expensive. So if you're interested in it, it's worth checking out. I'm going to award it 2.5 stars because ultimately, now that I've played it for the 35 minutes that I did, I have no interest in going back to it. But I do think that it is an interesting premise. It has been very successful. It's sold millions of copies, this game, and I think has been made into a sort of Japanese horror movie as well. So it is worth checking out. You're not going to be breaking the bank to give this one a go. I just think if you wanted to try and find all anomalies, maybe it might take you 2 to 3 hours because eventually some of these posters are going to have little differences that, I just got to a point where I felt like I'd seen the game. I wasn't getting the enjoyment that clearly other people have had. But that's sort of my little quick take on the Exit 8. The last game that I'd like to review is Lovish, which I played back in February and had an absolute joy with. The game took me 4 hours to roll credits. However, that was because probably about 10 of the 70 levels throughout just caused me a bit of frustration. And I reckon if you really are good at games, you could easily roll credits in about half that time, say 2.5 hours. The game follows the idea of a knight who heads off to a castle to save the princess with his friends, considering, the warrior, the wizard, the mage, and basically is afraid that if he gets to the princess, that the princess won't choose him and will choose his friends instead. And so he ditches them and heads off into the castle. I really enjoyed this game. Each level is sort of a single screen with platforming challenges where you can also, attack enemies as well. But you also have a one-hit kill, like you die after one hit, so you've got to be careful. So there's a lot of learning a level and rinsing and repeat. And then after each level concludes, you get almost like a little cutscene they're very, very humorous and very absurd. And I think that's where this game stands out. Initially, you start very limited in your moveset, but you do get upgrades through coins that you collect as well. This definitely is one to check out. I think costs roughly around $22 in Australia, so probably $15 US. I'm going to award this game 4 stars. I think this game is absolutely wonderful. And I think it could be one that is in that sort of conversation for myself in my top 10 games at the end of the year. I really do recommend it. It was fun to play. It doesn't overstay its welcome. The humor is there, but I reckon if this game was double the length, which I'm sure if you wanted to collect absolutely everything in the game, you could get 10 hours out of it. But if you just wanted to go through, play all the 70 stages, I think, 5 hours easy. You'll have a fantastic time with the game. And anyway, that's my 3 games that I'd just like to look at. That's sort of what I've been playing recently. Let me know what you think of those games if you've played them as well. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.